Yo, what up, people? It's your buddy Philko here, reporting live for your mama's house. And y'all gonna find out why I'm using this image during this story. This story is very interesting. A lot of ups, a few downs, but it was some, crazy 36 hours, something like that. It's a real crazy time we had. So let me say that this is a preview of the story. I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video when I am with Eddie, Jason, and Tim. When we're all together, we're going to make a video together about what actually happened. So I will skip a few things. I will miss some things because it doesn't really matter. This is just a little preview of everything that happened because it was crazy and we all decided we're never doing this shit again. It's just not happening again. So let me give you the basis of what happened. And by the way, 1 week, 5 days left. So we had to go to Kazakhstan. We didn't have to go to Kazakhstan, but we had to leave the country to reset our visas. Me, Tim, Eddie, and Jason. And this is our first time all going together. One time me, Jason, Eddie, and some Russian guy went, but this time we had Tim replace the Russian guy. So it's 4 Americans. We're all in one coupe together on the way there and the way back. Coupe is basically like a small cell. It looks like a little prison cell with 4 beds. Me and Jason are on the bottom beds, and Tim and Eddie are on the top beds, whatever. And so, how it starts, we all meet up, whatever. We go, we catch the train, we're on the train, everything's basically fine. So this one shit just starts going crazy. So, as we're sitting there, Jason falls asleep. Like fast. Jason falls asleep everywhere no matter what. Jason falls asleep during parties. Like he'll fall asleep just on the drop of a dime. It's just his thing. He just falls asleep no matter what's going on. Like one time, man, when we lived in Ups, he fell asleep during it was at like this anti-cafe place, this place where people get together, play games and drink a little bit. He fell asleep in the middle of playing a game with girls. Like just in the middle of a sentence or some shit, this dude would just fall asleep. And so he'd fall asleep, whatever, and because Jason's a big dude, he's always hot. He's always complaining about heat, so he likes to leave the coupe door open, which people can see you when they walk past. And me being black, I grab fucking attention. Like I told him that before. I grab attention. Everyone knows that. It should be common sense, right? But I'm not blaming him for this. I'm just saying how it is. So, in all these trains, people tend to drink a lot and whatever. So, as we're sitting there, I see this guy like wearing fatigues, and he looks in the room though. He sees me, and he just sees us, and then he looks on the table and he sees a passport. And Jason's knocked out. He's not paying any attention. Now, how we're sitting was, Tim was next to me. It's like, all right, the guy is near the door. So it's the guy, there's a door, there's Tim, there's me, then there's the passport on the table, then the window. So, and Eddie was sitting on the top bed. And he, in Russian, just goes, I want that. I want that. And I'm like, you want what? What do you want? He's like, I want to see that passport. And I can tell he was drunk. It was obvious. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no. So he, after I say no, he comes in and actually tries to grab the passport. And this whole time, Jason is like literally 6 inches away from this guy trying to take his passport, but he's knocked out sleep. Knocked out sleep. And like, for example, if we were all asleep like Jason's passport would have disappeared. That is a fact. Like, I'm very careful with my shit, but I noticed a lot of other people just are not. So he walks in, he tries to grab it, I stop it, I'm like, no, you can't see his passport. He's like, I just want to see it. I'm like, no, dude, it's not yours. In Russian, I'm like, it's not yours, it's his. He's asleep, you can't see it. So look, you can see mine. It's the same passport. So I'm trying to show him mine just so he like go away, whatever. He's still trying to see Jason's. I'm like, you can't see it. So I show him mine, he looks at it, and then he's like, okay, cool, he gives it back. Then he starts talking, and he was kind of rude. He was a little rude, so I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go buy some water, and I'm going to take this guy with me to buy the water. But I got to get him out of here. So I put my boots on, and I'm like, all right, let's go. I got to go buy water. You're coming with me to buy water. He didn't want to leave, so I like put my hand on his arm. I'm like, all right, we're leaving. You're going to help me buy water. Now, I do look a little different than I did probably the last time you guys actually saw me, so that's probably a reason so many things happened to us during this trip. But anyway, I was wearing like a wife beater, and I'm in pretty good shape right now. So I was like, and this guy, he was actually even smaller than me. I was like, dude, you need to get up now. We're going to leave. So I got him about whatever. He had a little attitude. So I go buy my water, whatever. Everything's fine. I come back to the coupe. Jason wakes up. I told him what happened. He's like, what? Motherfucker. I'm like, well, you fucking fell asleep, blah, blah, blah. But everything's good, whatever. So we chilling. We wanted to go to the restaurant because every train has a restaurant except for this one, which sucked ass. So we tried to go to the restaurant, and the lady's like, there is no restaurant. And I was like, motherfucker. And I think she lied to us, but we didn't get to go to the restaurant, so we just chilled in the thingy. So this is the hustle. I told you guys about this before. The first time I got hustled, the very first time. But after that, I never got hustled again because I didn't know the game. But when you cross over into Kazakhstan, when you're coming from Kazakhstan to Russia, they typically try to say you broke some law, we're going to take you to jail, or else you're going to give us some money and you won't go to jail, whatever, right? So I'm schooling these guys on that. I'm like, we're going to get shit when we're leaving Kazakhstan, coming back into Russia. But from Russia to Kazakhstan, there's never anything that happens. It's smooth. It's always smooth because the Russian authorities actually don't do that. You know what I mean? And it's the Kazakhstani authorities that do that. So we're preparing. I'm telling them what to say, what to do, whatever. And then we get to the Russian-Kazakhstani border. The Russian police, they stamp us out, no issues at all, no issues. Then we get to the Kazakhstan border, and this is us entering Kazakhstan. There's never issues entering Kazakhstan. So the guys come, whatever, they do their thing with our passports, nothing happens. And then I start eating my puree. It's mashed potatoes. I start eating and this is why the face is there. I start eating my mashed potatoes, and I just feel like a body walk in to the coupe. And I look, and it's a Kazakhstani border patrol officer, and he immediately says some shit like, he looks at us, counts us, and then he just closes the door. And I immediately made this face because, one, I can read people. That's one thing dudes need to understand. I can read people. I'm telling you, I know when a nigga is a problem and when he's not. This was his first day. I swear to God, it's like this officer's maybe first month of work. You know what I mean? So I knew he was gonna try to hustle us, but he was a noob. He wasn't gonna hustle us for no fucking money. So I immediately make this face, and he goes, "Where's your passport?" And I'm like, "Why? We just did this." He's like, "I need to see your passport and your ticket." And I was like, "All right, here's the passport, here's the ticket." He looks, he's like, "All right, you all have it. All right." Then he's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, because I'm pretty sure Jason remembers. But he said some shit that hinted towards, like, he probably wanted some money or something. And we all just looked at him, and I was making his face, and eventually he just left, and we started laughing, because that dude was a newbie. I'm like, who? Like, you don't hustle on the entrance, you hustle on the exit. You don't hustle on the entrance. Nobody does that. It was this dude's first day. I guess he's trying to beat the other officers to it, but he was just ass cracked. Now, I'm sure I missed some things in there about what he said, and Jason probably said something funny to him to serve him, but I will save that for when Jason joins me and we make the video together. So then we get to Kazakhstan, and this is where the funny starts coming into play. We get to Kazakhstan, and one thing you need to know about Kazakhstan is none of their steps are the same size. I mean that. None of their steps are the same size. So, like, the first step will be like, 3 inches high. The second step is like 2 inches. Third step is like a foot. Fourth step is like 8.5. Like, I mean that shit. Like, they built all these steps in a rush for some reason. And as we're walking up the stairs, this is when the first funny thing happens. As we're walking up the stairs or whatever, I hear Tim talking. He's like, blah, 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 something. Kazakhstan style. And then he trips up the stairs. And that was kind of funny, so I'm laughing, whatever. Because he's like, Kazakhstan style. Blick, blick. And he just tripped up the stairs. It just made me laugh. I like laughing at clumsy shit. So we go to the restaurant. And as we're in the restaurant, which is like 23 hours. For 1 hour, it's not open, but it's open the other 23 hours. We're eating, playing video games on our laptops. And I'm watching this thing called 13 Reasons Why. Some reasons why this girl killed herself, whatever. I'm not finished with it yet, but I'll talk about it when I finish. And during this time, there was some situation in front of me, but behind Jason. And Jason was trying to film it, but nothing happened. The security guard was trying to get rid of a drunkard or whatever. And like, he was yelling and shit, like, get the fuck out. And the drunk guy was just sitting there looking at him and like he ain't moved, like he ain't give a fuck. Like the drunk guy was probably making this face to the security guard because he wasn't going nowhere, right? And so nothing really funny happened there. We were just eating. Me and Jason, like I don't know if Jason's on a diet, but if this nigga think he on a diet, he's lying to himself. But me and Jason were just eating. Like that's all we did this whole trip. Like we were just eating, both of us. Like the only difference between me and him eating was that he was eating sweets. I didn't touch any sweets. I was just fucking eating with him. Like we just kept eating. I can't believe how much I ate during this trip. And I kept getting hungry. And so then we have to leave. This is the best part of the trip. We had to leave this restaurant to go to another restaurant. So Jason goes to the adjacent restaurant. Now out of all of us, I have the best Russian, which is surprising, but I have the best Russian. I'm always being translated for these guys. So I walk into this restaurant, and I walk into the restaurant, the lady's fucking screaming to the top of her lungs in Russian, like, no more people, why the fuck you guys keep coming in here? We're closing, you gotta get out. So now I look at Jason, and obviously he doesn't understand what she's saying. He, with the most confident face in the world, Jason's like, don't worry, I'll cut us a deal. I'm like, what? And I look at her, and she goes, we're closing in 10 minutes, you can't be here. Then I'm like, dude, they're closing in 10 minutes. You know, why are you here? He goes, oh shit, I thought they were opening in 10 minutes. Then we all left. That's not the funny part. We leave, and then we walk to this place next to it that we thought was a restaurant. And remember, I told you, Kazakhstan steps are fucked up. And in order to get into this restaurant thingy, there was like only one step. It was one step, and it had a thin sheet of ice on the top of it. Now, if you don't know Jason is a big dude. He got like regular legs and a really big upper body. Like he's overweight kind of dude, you know what I mean? And, you know, he's the last person, no, he's not the last person you expect to fall, but, you know, him falling is a big deal because he's so big, you know what I mean? So I just remember walking, and I look to the right of me, and I see him put his right leg on the step, and then all hell broke loose, dog. All hell broke loose. And I'll try to explain it, because how it happened is like all his limbs did all they can to keep his torso from touching the ground, and his fucking head just watched it. So basically his right leg his right leg landed on the top step, and started like circling for grip. It was so weird. It's like he was kind of doing a stanky leg with his right leg, trying to balance himself out. And while that was happening, his right hand was heading towards the ground to brace himself just in case he collapsed. His left hand went towards the sky, kinda. I don't know why. So like his right hand, his right leg is circling the ice. His right hand is heading towards the ground. His left hand is straight up, so he kind of looks like a Boeing 747 making a sharp right turn. And you know, that's what. And his left leg is like doing this whipping motion, trying to. His left leg is doing this whipping motion, trying to like throw his, like a tail, trying to throw his body back into balance, but all of it was basically futile, and this dude just landed on the tarmac, hard body. Now, the fall was hilarious, but what had me dying was I was paying attention to the 4 people who we didn't know around us while he was falling. There were 2 people in the store, and it took him a while to fall. Like, it was weird. Like, he didn't just blick. It was like blick, 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 boom. Like, it took him so long to fall. So during the blick, 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 they were like, 2 guys came to like the window of the door and like watched it just to see him fall. Like, I guess one guy saw him falling, and like before the fall ended, he tapped his friend, and they both like put their faces on the window until the fall was complete. And there were dudes to the left of us who were outside with us who were having a conversation. And the instant he started falling, they stopped talking. They just stopped talking. So like blah 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 in Russian, blah blah blah. Blick 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 blick, boom. Blah 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 blah. Nobody laughed. Like, I was dying on the inside, but I didn't want to laugh in front of him because when Jason falls, he gets upset. Like, he fell before in a limousine, and I was crying, and he was upset, so I'm trying not to hurt his feelings. But he bust that ass. So we start walking to the train station, and he's like walking away from us for whatever reason. Maybe he was avoiding the ice or avoiding us because he was embarrassed. But when we got into the train station, yo, Eddie had me dying. I fucking hate Eddie. Like, he made this little dance on how Jason fell, and yo, I was crying. I'm surprised no one yelled at me to keep my voice down, but I was seriously in tears outside and shit from the fall that just happened and Eddie making it worse. It was awesome. That is definitely my favorite part of the fucking trip, right? So he busts his ass. Then after that, everything was basically smooth. So we get on the train, and now it's on the way back. Now we're getting ready for the bullshit, right? We're absolutely getting ready for the bullshit. And so Eddie has been to Ukraine, and when Russians see you on your passport, you've been to Ukraine, they usually see that as suspicious, especially if you're American. So we get on the train. This one has a cafe, cool. You know, we fall asleep, whatever. We wake up, and it's the Kazakhstanian police, and we're ready to get hustled. And the guy who came in, I can read people, and I saw he was a professional. He was calm. He was a funny guy. You know, he had humor, but he knew what he was doing. He's done this before, so he's not a pushover like the first guy, you know, so I wasn't making no funny faces. So, so yeah, I can read the dude and I can see he's a professional, whatever, and so he started taking our information. As he's taking our information, he's using me as translator, and, you know, he's cracking some jokes or whatever, like he was just having fun. So, when it was Eddie's turn, I believe who was sitting there? He's either Tim or Eddie, I don't remember. He made a quick joke about, you know, I want 100 rubles from you. A quick joke, you know, it was obvious that he wasn't serious, but he made the joke. Then when it was Jason's turn, he looks at Jason, he goes, that'll be $100. And I translated for Jason, and Jason said some shit like, you know, the guy said in Russian, you should give me a $100 tip. I translated to Jason. The Jason says back to the guy, he goes, I'll give you a tip and invest in Google. And then the guy looked at me and goes, what the fuck did he say? And I'm like, it was kind of awkward. So I was like, he said invest in Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin, you can make money. And he's like, oh, okay, Bitcoin, cool. And that was really it. Nothing. He left. And that was it. Super secret Asian man, which was the first guy who tried to rob us, but he was a beginner. We expected to see him because he asked for our tickets, so he knew when we were coming back, but he wasn't there. And I said, when we got on the return train, if super secret Asian man was there, I would give him 1,000 rubles because he worked hard for that money. I just gave it to him and said nothing. But he wasn't there. So that went. So next was the Russian police, you know, in about an hour. And I was like, the Russian police, that goes smooth. Only issue we might have is the fact that Eddie has in his passport that he went to Ukraine. That might be the only issue. And I told him just like, yo, be real, let them know why you were there, and like that's it. You know, there's nothing to hide. It's just they see that as a I guess like a red light. I don't know how to say it. They see it as something suspicious. So the police come, and sure enough, everything was smooth. But then they're like, blah blah blah, Ukraine, and I'm the only one who can understand them basically. And I didn't say anything to Eddie at the time because I didn't want to look like we were trying to be sneaky. So I just kept my mouth closed, and I kept hearing Ukraine, and then I didn't hear this. Jason, Eddie told me about it later. But the lady was like, hey, you went to Ukraine. Why did you go to Ukraine? And I guess Eddie probably said something like, for girls. I don't know what Eddie said, but they asked him about it, and things were fine. It seemed fine, you know. Then they left. I'm like, all right, that should be it. Now, just like before, I'm thinking everything's over. Just like before, I'm thinking everything's finished. I see a shadow to the right of me again. Now, the last time I saw this shadow after police left, it was, no, not after police left. There are 3 times I saw a random shadow. The first time was a drunk dude. He had no reason to be there. He wanted to take Jason's passport. Second time was the rookie-ass fucking Kazakhstan police officer border dude who wasn't shit. And I was making his face to him, as you see on the screen, who wanted to see our passports. Now it's some Russian guy. But the difference between this Russian guy and the drunk guy and the rookie-ass police officer is one, the Kazakhstani police officer, he wasn't drunk. But the difference between him and the Kazakhstani police officer and the drunk guy was that, no homo, but he looked well-groomed and well taken care of. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, you could tell he works out. He's generally young. He was speaking English. He had on good clothes. So it was kind of weird. Like, the first thing I thought was he's in the mafia. That's what I was thinking. So when he walked in, I'm like, this is different. This is something I've never seen. Like, I'm not prepared for this. I don't know how to react. And behind him was a really, really, really big dude who kind of just had like an indifferent attitude to everything. He was just there. Like, he was probably training the smaller dude, the one who was talking to us. Now that I think about it, he's probably training him, but he was just indifferent, just standing there, like no facial expression, like he really didn't care. If anything, he was slightly positive. So the guy's like, let me see your passport. And I'm like, what? Who are you? He goes, he's practicing his English. He goes, we're security, we're bodyguards. I'm like, bodyguards for who? He's like, we're just bodyguards. We need to see your passport. I'm like, I'm not giving you my passport. Who are you, dog? Who are you? I don't know. Bodyguards for what? Us? You want to work for us or something? Like, I didn't understand. And then he gets a little more serious. He goes, I need to see your passport. I'm like, I'm not giving you my passport. I don't know who you are. You know what I mean? And then as I said that, his partner, who I think is more experienced, shows me his identification. The Russian FBI is FSB. And I was like, holy shit, like, why didn't you tell me that? You know, making me look bad. I'm here arguing about the fight with a fucking FSB officer, but he didn't identify himself. That was his only problem. Everything else he did, he approached politely. He said who he was, but not the best way in English. He just didn't show his identification, which was a terrible move. How the fuck are we supposed to know? I get all different kinds of people trying to see my ID, but no non-authority figure seeing shit, because I don't give a fuck. If you're Russian or not, I don't give half a fuck. You gotta be police officer, you gotta be UFMS, you gotta be FSB, you gotta be some official shit, not some security guard. You gotta be some official shit, or else I'm not showing you shit. But when I saw that, I was like, I told everybody, I said, yo, the Russian FBI, show your shit. Like immediately, then after that, there were no problems. We gave all the information and stuff. He was practicing, I think he was just practicing his English. You know, he took our phone numbers, he took our pictures of our passports and everything. And I knew they were real when I noticed the train was waiting for them. Because as soon as they finished with us and left the train started going again. So those Russian FBI agents were there, I think specifically for us. Specifically. Because the train waited for these guys. And but it went fine. We gave our info and they split. But, I mean, the guys were kind of nervous after that. I'm like, but I'm not nervous because I ain't got shit to hide. You know, he wanted to know how I made money. I told him. I'm like, I make money many ways. I don't work in Russia. I got bread. I do my thing. You can see my bank account in Russian. I'm not showing you shit. Well, I don't think I said that, but I just told him everything I did in detail. I told him. You know what I mean? I showed him the YouTube page. I told him I manage models on Instagram and everything. I told him all that shit. I'm like, all that money comes to me in dollars. I do not make a dime in Russia. Nobody can even pay me enough in Russia. I'm good. You know what I mean? And everybody else said their thing and they left and I believe that was the end of everything. Only thing that happened afterwards that was of any interest was when we got back to Novosibirsk, Eddie and Tim, I think they got to the wrong taxi, and I took down a taxi number just in case the guy tried to rape them. But I'm pretty sure they're fine by now. And shit, so that's basically it, man. Our trip to Kazakhstan was interesting, but one thing I'll tell you now, I am never doing that shit again. From now on, I'm flying somewhere. I got money, I'm gonna fly places. No more of this train shit. I mean, I'm scared of airplanes, but I'll do anything not to deal with the random fucking drunk people, not to deal with the wannabe hustling fucking Kazakhstanian police. But the FSB thing, they can catch you on the airplane too. That's no problem. I have no problem cooperating with any actual authority figures. And I don't even got no problem with anyone spying on me. Anybody or any agency can spy on me. All you're gonna see is that I'm talking to a bunch of women. That's it. A bunch of adult women. That's all you're gonna see. That's all you're gonna get. And there's gonna be a lot more within a week and 5 days. But that's all you're gonna get from me. You know, they know my YouTube channel, they know everything. I got nothing to hide from nobody. I like women, that's it. That's all you're gonna find. Anyone I communicate with or ever meet is 18 and over and they're all single women. Well, I can't verify they're all single. Because maybe they're lying to me. Possibly they have boyfriends, maybe they have husbands. But no, they're single because I look at all of their passports. And in Russia, when you're married, it shows in your passport. So yeah, man, that's really it. I ain't got shit to hide, spying a nigga. I don't give a fuck. Just don't block my porn. And I'm good, man. Like, Jason was nervous, but I told him, I'm like, Jason, it's a little different here in Russia. Like, besides the political shit, like, maybe there could be some real bad political shit going on with Russia and America. They could take it out on us. But other than that, as long as you're not doing anything crazy, no one gives a fuck. Authorities aren't going to follow you or aren't going to try to deport you just for being an American for no reason. Or me for being black. It doesn't work that way here in Russia. I've been here for 5 fucking years. I've dealt with these people numerous times. I think I get the point by now. You feel me? So that's basically it, guys. We'll make a part 2 when I'm with the guys, and you'll hear everything in detail, man. And I'm out, Nicholas. Later.